Hello there. Thank you for joining us on CoreTV News at 4. I am Frank Omalape, and here are some of the reports we're filing at this time. The Ondo State House of Assembly has impeached Ali Olanosi, the Deputy Governor, 24 hours out of the 26 lawmakers endorsed the impeachment motion moved by Henry Akisoni-Inu, the majority leader, and seconded by Oyebo Aladeton, deputy majority leader. The House had earlier directed Olasayinde Kumuyi, chief judge of the state, to set up a probe panel to investigate 7 impeachable offenses leveled against Olanosi. Kumuyi complied with the directive by setting up a 7-man panel on Friday, chaired by Olatunji Adenio. The panel submitted the report to the House earlier today. Jumoke Akindele, Speaker of the Assembly, adopted a motion declaring that Olanosi had been impeached and removed from office. She directed him to hand over the properties of government within his possession to the permanent secretary in his former office. Olanosi fell out with Mimiko after defecting to the All Progressive Congress from the People's Democratic Party 2 days before the 2015 presidential election, which was won by a candidate of his new party, Muhammad Buhari. He had told his supporters that the lack of equity and the PDP necessitated his decision to dump the party. Olanosi was the running mate of Mimiko on the platform of the Labour Party in 2007 and became deputy governor in 2009 after the Court of Appeal declared Mimiko winner of the 2007 governorship election in the state. He has been deputy since 2009 after the pair won the election in 2014. They both defected to PDP in October 2014 from the Labour Party. Although Olanosi did not favor the defection, Olanosi comes next in line to Sunday Onyebuchi, the immediate past deputy governor of Enugu State, who was impeached in August 26, 2014 after falling out with Sir Levan Chime, governor of the state. And following the impeachment of Ondo State Deputy Governor Ali Olanosi by 25 out of the 26 members of the State House of Assembly State, Governor Olusegun Mimiko has nominated the State Commissioner for Agriculture, Lasisi Oluboyo, as the new Deputy Governor. Oluboyo, the Commissioner for Agriculture, who is to replace Olanosi, who was impeached by the Ondo State House of Assembly earlier on Monday. And now Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha has been declared winner of the supplementary governorship election held on Saturday. Returning officer Oye Ibidakobi, while declaring the results, says the governor and All Progressive Congress candidates polled the highest number of lawful votes cast.
Rochas Anayo Okorocha of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and returned elected. Signed, Oye Ibidakobi, 26 April 2015. Thank you very much.
And now, moving away from that, now Senator Hope Uzodinma, representing Imo West, and his sister were arrested for alleged electoral malpractices at Umuma, Olu East local government area of Imo State by a combined team of police, men and soldiers. The senator, who was later released on self-recognition, allegedly mobilized hoodlums who set bonfires on the roads to prevent the security men from taking away the suspect. It took a reinforcement of soldiers and men of the Department of State Security to rescue the police men and take the suspects to the police headquarters in Owerri, where they were detained. Also, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Job Doma, arrested 25 officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Imo State for alleged thumb-printing of ballot papers during the election rerun exercise on Saturday. Also arrested were fake INEC officials who posed as returning officers at the collation center. When contacted, the police public relations officer Andrew Nwerem said he had yet to be briefed on the incident. And now, Ruiz Ishakul of the People's Democratic Party has won the Taraba supplementary governorship election held on Saturday. The returning officer, Kiari Mohammed, who announced the results on Sunday in Jalingo, said Ishakul scored 369,318 votes to emerge victorious. He said Senator Aisha Al-Hassan of the All Progressive Congress came second with 275,984 votes, while Chief David Kenti of the Social Democratic Party polled 29,966 votes. The returning officer says there were 1,461 votes, 641 total registered voters in the state, of which 787,516 were accredited for the election. Mohammed said that the total valid votes cast were 681,166, while the total votes rejected was 174,131. It was recalled that the April 11 governorship election was declared inconclusive by the Independent National Electoral Commission due to the widespread irregularities. INEC on April 25 conducted supplementary elections in 218 polling units in 10 council areas of the state. And now the All Progressive Congress governorship candidate in the just concluded governorship election in Taraba State, Aisha Al-Hassan, has rejected the results of the poll as announced by INEC. Addressing a press conference in Jalingo shortly after the announcement of the result, daylight robbery, and said the party will challenge the result in the elections petition tribunal. She contended the result ascribed to Ukari Donga, Takum, Sadaunan Zing, Yopro, Kurmi, and some parts of the state, Karim Lamido, Bali, Adukoli, and Lao local government areas were not susceptible, as they did not reflect the true result of the election in Taraba. Al-Hassan said all the complaints on the irregularities and abuse of election guidelines were completely reported to INEC, but no action was taken. INEC returning officer for Taraba, Kiari Mohammed, who declared the result on Sunday in Jalingo, said Ishakul scored 368,318 votes to emerge victorious. The All Progressive Congress has called on the President Goodluck Jonathan, to rein in government officials whose actions may cause problems for the incoming Muhammadu Buhari administration. It also went against what it terms last-minute looting of the nation's resources, hurried recruitment into the public service, and rushed privatization of key financial institutions. The All Progressive Congress gave these warnings in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Alhaji Muhammad. The party said apart from the instances of such cases that had been reported by media, it has been undoubted with calls and messages by concerned Nigerians alerting it to the unscrupulous actions of some Jonathan administration officials. He said while the Jonathan administration remains in office till midnight of May 28, and governance in the country will not stop because of a new president which has been elected, it's incumbent upon the outgoing administration not to create any more problems for the incoming government that it had already done, or to the new tie to new governments have through this some suspicious action. APC said while it is true that the incoming Buhari administration will not get itself bogged down by an endless proof of the activities of the Jonathan administration, all actions taken since the result of the May 28th presidential election was unannounced. You're still watching CoreTV News at 4. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with more stories after this time out. Join us again.
One continent, 54 countries, over 2,000 languages, but united with similar interests. As news breaks, we give you in-depth analysis around Africa every Monday on CoreTV News.
Glad to join us on CoreTV News at 4 live from our Lagos studios. For more information on our news, like our Facebook page, is facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG And for live streaming, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space. The news. The presidency insists that despite losing the March 28 presidential election to Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressive Congress, President Goodluck Jonathan is still working for Nigerians. A special advisor to the President of Media and Publicity, Ruben Abati, made a declaration or clarification in the message he posted on his Facebook page on Sunday. Abati was reacting to some reports that claimed that the present administration, which winds down on May 29, had abandoned some of its ongoing projects because of Jonathan's electoral laws. The presidential spokesman says there was no truth in the reports. He said evidence that Jonathan was still working around at the site of the second Niger Bridge, which is currently under construction, and the ongoing work on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, as well as the Abuja-Kaduna railways. While thanking Nigerians for allowing Jonathan to serve them, he expressed the hope that the transformation being witnessed under the current administration will continue under Buhari's leadership from May 29. He said the president maintained that he remained committed to service and sacrifices for Nigeria in whatever capacity he finds himself. The governor of Delta State, Emmanuel Uduaghan, has given his take on why the ruling party PDP lost at the center and in several states in the federation because of neglect of some members of the party. According to the outgoing Delta State governor, some persons within the party believe that the governor's forum was becoming too powerful, and the then chairman of the party did not help matters as he was acting like a CEO writing queries to governors. A crisis generated by these, as well as the impunity in the party, caused the departure of some of the governors. He said that the PDP was the greater loser in the crisis that rocked the governor's forum as it led to their 2015 election losses. He added that performance was not an issue for the party and they did not lose because they failed to perform. Governor Uduaghan also blamed the lack of fairness during the party's primaries as another major factor that led to their losses during the just concluded election. He also expressed his expectations of the incoming government of Buhari, but advised that the APC-led federal government must apply a style of leadership that would unite all Nigerians irrespective of voting pattern during the 2015 polls. Away from that now, Musli Obanikoro, Nigeria's junior minister of foreign affairs, said Nigeria did not recall its high commissioner to South Africa over the ongoing xenophobic attacks. Described the report as a rumor, Obanikoro said the officials were only summoned for consultation. South Africa reacted to the issue in a very critical manner, faulting the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan in several regards. A statement issued by Clayton Muyala, spokesperson of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, added that the South African government is not sure which actions or behavior of the South African government the Nigerian government is protesting. If this action is based on the incident of attacks on foreign nationals in some parts of our country, it will be curious for a sinisterly country to want to exploit such a painful episode for whatever agenda. End of quote. The recent attacks on foreigners in South Africa has continued to generate reactions from everyone. And apart from condemning the act, former boss of the ICPC, Justice Mustafa Akambi, has accused the South African government of negligence as he calls for compensation for the victims involved. Our correspondent Rashid has more from Ilorin.
The news of the attack on foreigners in South Africa has since been condemned everywhere, with different opinions from government and organizations across the world. For the former boss of an anti-graft agency in Nigeria, ICPC, Mustafa Akambi, the act is not only despicable, but also shocking to know that South Africa can turn around to attack countries which helped her through the apartheid period.
But for a country that had suffered under colonial rule, it's not the right thing to start overnight and ask people to quit and leave, because they also have interest in other countries. For instance, I understand the DSTV here in Nigeria is controlled by South Africa, and if we have to react in the way they did, things will be very bad.
In the face of looting and loss of lives, Akabi calls for compensations from the government of South Africa to the victims affected by the xenophobic attack.
They are able to pay compensation for people who have lost their property. Unfortunately, if a man is killed, you can't revive him, you can't bring him back to life. But I think those who are involved in these activities must be dealt with seriously by the government of South Africa.
While the victims now count their losses after losing much of what they have labored for, labor leaders in Nigeria have urged labor unions in South Africa to help stop the attack.
There's a global condemnation of this particular situation. So I believe that NSC, as they are reaching out to their colleagues, even in South Africa, because these are workers' organizations to themselves, and they need to protect the workers there.
We are enjoined with the rest of Nigerians to say that such an attack is not good on Africans. We are all part of those who fought for the apartheid. We are all those who fought for the independence. And I mean, by the time they start chasing Nigerians away, and we Nigerians here start chasing South Africans in Nigeria away, it's not gonna be the best.
With government and organizations taking active steps, it is hoped that the experience of foreigners in 2008 and what is happening now will be the last to be heard of in South Africa. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ilorin.
Now, the Ogun State Police Command has alerted the public about the new mode of operation of car snatchers within the state. The alert contained in a press release signed by the State Police Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi warned members of the public in the state to be wary of people on motorbikes who ply the major highways in the state, showing care and concern for people in distress while eventually robbing them of their valuables. The release specifically mentioned the highways in question to include but not limited to Abeokuta, Lagos, and Shagamu Ijebu-Ode Benin Road. The hoodlums in most cases flag down road users or raise alarm of punctured tire or damaged portion of the vehicles with the pretense of being carrying or showing sympathy, but eventually rob anyone who yields to their fake care or alarm. The command deems it necessary to caution the good people of Ogun State and those on transit within the state to note and beware of these hoodlums with their new mode of operation. The Commissioner of Police, Valentine Untochukwu, however, made this note that many of the criminals behind the latest trend have been caught in the act and will definitely face the heavy role of the law. You're still watching CoreTV News. At 4, we'll take another break. We'll be back with more stories. Do join us again.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
I see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
Glad to have you back. Now, the Benue State Governor-elect Samuel Otom has appealed to security agencies to redouble their efforts to stop the renewed violence in Agatu and Gumal local government areas. This was contained in a statement by the media advisor to Benue State Governor-elect Tahav Ajelzua. The statement stated that the Otom described the recent clash between the communities in Agatu as well as attacks on several communities in Bandwen, ward of Gumal local government areas of Saturday. Otom pledged to collaborate with relevant authorities to find a permanent solution to such crises, which he said were sad, unfortunate, unavoidable, and reprehensible. He expressed regret that the renewed violence had further compounded the poverty level in the affected areas and set the clock of development backwards. The governor-elect commiserated with the families of those who lost their loved ones in the areas and prayed that God will comfort them. Now, the Borno State chapter of the Nigeria Labour Congress on Monday appealed to Governor Kashim Shettima to pay priority attention to the workers' welfare. A chairman of the Congress, Titus Abana, makes the appeal in an interview in Maiduguri, the state capital. Abana observed that the state government was committed to the welfare of its workers, but said that it must continue to take steps towards improving on the lot of civil servants in the state. He urged Shettima to look into the case of the workers who were disengaged from the service of Maiduguri International Hotels, Borno Investment Company, and others working in state-owned revenue generation companies that were not functioning. And our experts have gathered at the main auditorium of the University of Lagos for the institution's annual convocation lecture. The convocation being delivered by former Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission, Peter Okebokola, is to look at the ways of developing the nation's tertiary education sector better in comparison with other nations on the continent and elsewhere. We'll bring you details in our subsequent bulletins. Well, in business now, and now in business now, the chairman, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Musumi, Ogun State in Adeleke Bada, has agreed with the former Minister of Petroleum at time, David Western Petrol, which can sell for 40 naira per litre. He says this is impossible if the country refines all crude oil in the nation's refineries. Bada, who was flanked by other members of the executive of the association, was reacting to the advice given by David West to the president-elect to reduce the pump price to 40 naira. However, blamed the non-compliance of sale of petrol at 87 naira per litre by some petroleum marketers on the express or expenses incurred by the marketers who are trying to get the fuel available for the use of the masses. He said the levies being paid by the marketers to various regulatory associations and unions had forced the marketers to increase the prices of fuel to their desired amount. And now the Nigerian Export Promotion Council say the country's manufacturers of non-oil products have completely lost out of the provisions of the African Growth Opportunity Act. Segun Awolowo, Chief Executive Officer of the NEPS, told the news agency of Nigeria Monday in Lagos that the manufacturers had failed to be competitive. Now records that AGUA, initiated in 2000, was meant to foster duty-free trade between the U.S. and African countries. It said that the nation had not benefited from AGUA because the country's products were poorly packaged, adding that it needed the government support to beat the test of time. He added that the country for now could survive without AGUA pending when the necessary competitive apparatus were put in place. Awolowo said that the council was also working on the packaging of food and industrial products to overshadow the provisions of AGUA and every pay duty if needed. Now, the federal government has given an assurance that it will protect indigenous and international firms operating in the country in line with the Local Content Act. The Executive Secretary, Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Ns Nwapa, said he welcomed the assurance given by the incoming administration that indigenous industries will be supported to grow. Nwapa, who spoke at the inauguration of the multi-million naira engineering facilities by Thompson's and Grace Investment Limited in Port Harcourt, said the NCDBM was committed to developing indigenous firms. According to him, the support for local firms will address the problem of unemployment affecting the country. The NCDBM Executive Secretary also appealed to the company to carry into the federal government's programs specifically mapped out by the board to develop the economy. And our Giwa FC maintained their leadership in the Glow Nigeria Professional Football League after they recorded a 1-1 win. We'll give you details after the short break in sports.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
And in sports now, Giwa FC maintained their leadership in the Glow Nigeria Professional Football League after they recorded a 1-1 draw with Lobby Stars on Sunday in Makurdi. Giwa leads with 11 points from 6 games. Ibrahim Shuaibu gave the Just outfit the lead in the 40th minute when he tapped home across from the box. Barnabas Imenga equalized for Lobby Stars in the 74th minute. There were also home wins for Enugu Rangers, Akwa United, Enyimba, Kano Pillars, and Kwara United, while Gabriel snatched a draw at Bayelsa United. Other results of matches played in the Glow Nigeria Professional Football Leagues are the Rangers 3, Okanemi 0, Lobby 1, Giwa 1, Pillars 2, Taraba 1, Enyimba 3, Sharks 2, Abia 3, 3SC 0, Kwara 1, Nasarawa 0, Kwara 2, Dolphins 0, Sunshine 3, Wiki 2, and Bayelsa 0, Gabros 0. Eden Hazard has won the Professional Footballers Association Players of the Year award. Hazard, 24, has scored 13 goals and made 8 assists in 33 Premier League games to help leader Chelsea with touching distance to win the Premiership title. The award was voted for by the Belgian midfielder's fellow professionals. Tottenham Hotspur's Harry Kane, 21, was named a PFA Young Player of the Year, while Chelsea midfielder Jason Young took the Women's Player of the Year award. Hazard, who won last season's Young Player accolade, was handed the prize at the Crossover Hotel in Arsenal. Midfielder Leanne William 18 won the Women's PFA Young Player of the Year award. And our defending champions Kel Nishikori beat Spain's Pablo and Julia to retain the Barcelona Open title on Sunday. Japan's Nishikori 25 won 6-4, 6-4 to claim his 9th ATP World Tour title. Earlier, Britain's Jamie Murray and Australian partner John Peers lost 3-6, 7-6, 9-11 to Croatia's Martin Draganja and Henry Kotainen of Finland in the men's doubles final. And Duja defeated Fabio Fognini and David Pera on his way to the final and immediately broke Nishikiro's serve in Sunday's match. However, Nishikiro, ranked 5th in the world, broke straight back and eventually ground out a hard-fought victory. And outside Nigeria now, thousands of Nepal's Belgians fleeing the capital Kathmandu on Monday, terror-stricken by 2 days of powerful aftershock and fearing shortages of food and water after an earthquake that killed more than 3,200 people. Roads leading out of the mountain valley city of the million were jammed with people, many with babies on their arms, trying to climb into buses and hitch or ride board cars and trucks. Huge queues had formed at Kathmandu airport with people desperate to get a flight out. Overwhelming authorities were trying to cope with a shortage of drinking water and food as well as the threat of disease. The sick and wounded were lying out in the open in Kathmandu, unable to find beds in the devastated city's hospitals. Surgeons set up an operating theater inside a tent in the grounds of Kathmandu Medical College. High in the Himalayas, hundreds of climbers were staying put at the Mount Everest base camp, where a huge avalanche after the earthquakes killed 17 people in the single worst disaster to hit the world's highest mountain. A total of 3,218 people were confirmed killed in the 7.9 magnitude earthquake. A police official said on Monday the worst in Nepal since 1934, when 8,000 500 died. More than 6,500 were injured. Well, it does it on CoreTV News at 4. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. Bye for now.